got YouTube going. Yo, man, it's crazy out here trying to be your own artist and your own AV person and your own engineer. I think a lot of y'all know what that's like. I see the fam tuning in. What's up? What's up, Advis, man? I appreciate you coming in. Um, man, it's good to see familiar faces in the chat. I appreciate y'all. We got YouTube going. Um, I think we're ready to go. So yeah, if you're tuning in, my name is Sabyu. Today we are doing a new format for you guys. It's called a keynote concert. And so the idea is, like, you've heard about keynote speakers before for like an event, but today it's going to be a keynote speech in a way tied in with music. So the best way I could describe it to you is simply stories and songs. So today I'm going to do like a little experiment, if you will, of some stories and songs. So two stories, two songs. And so I'm happy to share this new format with you guys. I'm excited about it, and let's get into it. So the title of this keynote concert, this virtual keynote concert, is called Healing and Honing. So you think about that title, right? Healing something damaged, healing something that has been injured, perhaps, something that needs some TLC. And honing as in honing your craft, honing your voice, honing yourself, and improving and really locking in. So healing and honing. And I'm going to share two stories for you today. The first story is about healing through reconnection. So I call this the wound and the call. And let's do this. So I see Hezafeza tapping in from Seatown. I appreciate you. I see Kidis Fecto. What's up, Fecto? I see Linford. What's up, Linford? I see E Bells. What's up, E Bells? I appreciate y'all coming in. And yeah, here's the first story for you guys. Let's see what's up here. So the year was 2019. And I just dropped an album with my bro Chief Hobby. I was playing a bunch of gigs. It's feeling really good. I felt like the ball was rolling. I was mentoring with Totem Star. And it felt like life was good. From the outside, it seemed like life was going in a good direction. But for whatever reason, every night when I got home and I was just, with my own thoughts, I would feel like there's something missing. And I just couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't figure out, like, even though from the outside and on all these Facebook and Instagram posts, it looks like I was doing good. But for whatever reason, there's like this void of like really, what am I trying to do out here? Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why, like, what's the point of putting out the music? Like, what is my real goal here? And so it felt like, even though I was doing all this good stuff, there was something missing. And that's when I got the call. And the call came in the form of learning about Mauna Kea. Now, for those of you that don't know, Mauna Kea is the biggest, highest point in all the Hawaiian Islands, considered a sacred site for Kanaka Maoli, or Native Hawaiian brothers and sisters. And back in 2019, they were actively facing some pretty hard conditions around trying to protect the Mauna from construction of telescopes. And since the 70s, the Native Hawaiian peoples have faced desecration of that sacred land in the form of building these giant telescopes. And in 2019, it hit a peak because they were to construct the biggest telescope yet, and it was as large as a football field. It was gonna cost millions of dollars, and it was gonna be on top of a sacred mountain. And so, as I was looking at the news, I saw some things that really stirred me, and I saw that people that I resonated with in the islands, I saw them and their land being desecrated, and I saw the protests of elders that were lining up to block access to this construction site on the mountain. And I saw these Native Hawaiian elders being arrested for protecting their land. I saw them being zip tied, their hands being zip tied by law enforcement and escorted to vans to be detained. And the craziest part of it all is that some of the law enforcement were actually Native Hawaiian themselves. So we were seeing Native Hawaiian law enforcement arresting Native Hawaiian elders, and their common ground is the sacred land that they're there for. And it was so heart-wrenching because you could see the tears coming from both the law enforcement and the people that were protecting the mountain. And in my heart, I was like, man, this is messed up. This is not right. And I decided, you know what? I want to stand in solidarity with our Native Hawaiian brothers and sisters on the Mauna. And so I booked my flight. I booked my flight and I decided I'm going to fly to Hawaii. So in a couple weeks' time, I got my boarding pass, show up to SeaTac, and I get through security, and I get to my gate from Seattle to Hawaii. And as I'm boarding my plane, I am waiting in line, and I couldn't help but notice this beautiful woman behind me in line. And I was like, I feel like I got to say something. So I turn around and I say, hey, my name is Sabyu. It's nice to meet you. What's your name? Nenny, she says. And for this moment right here, I just want you guys to take that snapshot. Take a snapshot of me meeting this person, this beautiful woman, and I want you to put that in your back pocket for now. We're gonna come back to that, but it's part of it's. You'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. But anyway, board the plane. We go from Seattle to Hawaii, and eventually, I make my way to the Big Island. Now, upon arrival at the Big Island, I find myself checking into a hostel, the Big Island Hostel, if you will. And if you've ever been to a hostel before, the beautiful thing about hostels to me is that you can meet people from all walks of life, from all different countries. And it's really cool to see why people gather to a particular place and the timing of it, where everybody's there for perhaps a different reason, but you're able to connect and cross paths. And so during my stay at the Big Island Hostel, I met and made friends with a guy from Germany who I still talk to. I made friends with a woman from the Netherlands and another guy from Korea, and it was really great times. But we were all there for a different reason, and my reason was to make it up to Mauna Kea. And so I rented a car and I just explored the island. I was like driving around. I was in Hilo and I was driving through the torrential downpour. If you've ever been to Hilo, you already know it's like rainy. So I'm just driving through Hilo, soft rain. I'm like, I see the beach, nice beach. And I'm driving. Big Island is huge. So I'm starting to see other places. I'm starting to see lush forests. with tall trees, and I keep going and I see this dry lands, and I keep going and I see the west side as well, which is the Kona side, and it's all white sandy beaches and pristine weather, no rain. And eventually I make my way up Saddle Road and up to Mauna Kea. And once I get to Mauna Kea, I park my car on the side of the road and I see this camp. And this camp was full of people in the community, Native Hawaiians and others, who gathered on the Mauna and set up everything you could need to stay up there. So we're talking about food and shelter. We're talking about a medic tent. We're talking about a place for organizers to gather, and also a space that was designated for ceremony and protocol. And so upon arrival, I was greeted by some beautiful people, and and the Native Hawaiian folks up there, they were practicing what was called kapu aloha. And now kapu aloha, roughly translated, could be perceived as like an order of aloha. And so there was particular guidelines that we're all meant to follow. We were meant to do things like, pick up trash, just be responsible about yourself. And we're supposed to honor the elders, make sure that your elders are taken care of. And we're also supposed to honor protocol every day, meaning every morning, every afternoon, and every night, there would be chants and hula to provide ceremony to the space. And the beautiful thing about this experience is that the days that I stayed on the mountain, I really started to understand what aloha meant. And I realized and I learned like the one of the greetings of ancient times, which is a honi, or a kiss. And it's simply when you hold your foreheads together with somebody and the bridge of your nose, and you close your eyes and you take a breath together. And you may have seen this in other Polynesian cultures too, like Aotearoa or New Zealand. But it's a beautiful experience. And so there was one of the days I was there, I had the honor of sharing my own song. It's a song that me and Javi wrote, me and my bro Chief Javi. Shout outs to Chief Javi, if y'all know who I'm talking about. And we wrote a song called One Love, Our Love. And it was a celebration of Melanesians, Polynesians, and Micronesians, and uniting all of the Pacific together. And so Antipua Case, one of the organizers on the island, allowed and invited me to share my song with the crowd there. And it was heartwarming to me because as I'm playing, I'm seeing all of the elders start to kind of, move a little bit. And then they start getting up and they're starting to dance a little bit. I'm like, okay, the kupuna, the elders. And I love seeing that. I love to know that I'm moving and shaking, and also spreading positivity to uplift the movement, make the movement move, if you will. And then subsequently, Atipua honored me with a lei that they make for many of the visitors that come by and share a song or share their words to the community. So I was blessed with the lei. And reflecting on that experience, it was such a beautiful time. And I've really felt like, that emptiness that I had felt originally going into my music journey thus far in Seattle. It felt like I was able to reconnect with something bigger than me, reconnect with the Mauna, reconnect with sacred land, reconnect with community, an islander community, as well as those from around the world. And upon the Mauna, I was looking around and I saw that there were flags from all over the world. I saw flags from the US and from Germany and from Japan and from New Zealand and from Australia and from China and from different places around the world, all posted on the Mauna to show solidarity and to show that they were all there to support and protect sacred land. And of course, I did see the Northern Mariana Islands flag, which is where I am from. So what a beautiful thing to see. And for those in Washington right now, I also did see the Muckleshoot tribe. So shouts out to the Muckleshoot tribe. I saw them up there too. That was dope to see. And what a beautiful experience, and coming down from the Mauna after all of that time, I was just so moved. And I felt like I really understood the true meaning of aloha. And as I came down the Mauna, I started to hear a melody in my head and I started to hear chords coming to me. So I grabbed my guitar and I'm starting to just play these little things, and eventually a song presented itself to me. And that song is called Mauna Calling. And so I would like to share a kind of a bit of a different rendition of Mauna Calling today for those of you that have heard that song. But let's get into it, shall we? Also, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Hope you're enjoying it this far. In the comments, feel free to share your thoughts. And we're going to get into this song. All right, y'all. This is an oldie but a goodie for a lot of y'all. I can hear the Mauna calling. Spirit telling me I'm going all in. Aloha aina, mauka to makai now. Ancestors giving us some light now. I can hear the Mauna calling. Here we are in the future of the past now, welcoming traditions that are passed down from generation to our generation. Kapu aloha in the face of desecration, to heal a nation and make a statement. We will protect all of the places that are sacred. We will protect all of the places that are sacred. I can hear the Mauna calling. Spirit telling me I'm going all in. Aloha aina, mauka to makai now. Ancestors giving us a light now. I can hear the Mauna calling. We are here now to tell you our story. In every chant, every dance, every ceremony, Malama Kupuna and everyone, for the life of the land that we on. Trace our indigenous lineage, hear it in the waves and the wind if you're listening. it's a universe that you're envisioning. Too many telescopes look within. Now I can hear the mountain calling. 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 All right, y'all. That was Mountain Calling. Hope y'all enjoyed that song and story. And appreciate y'all tuning in. I want to check the comments real quick. We got some folks joining the chat. I appreciate y'all coming in. I see the homie Buffet Destroyer swag on 100 for Buffet Destroyer. Appreciate you, bro. And Gary won it. Thank you, Gary. I can hear the mountains calling. Yes, Gary. I appreciate you being here as well. Man, this is kind of crazy. I got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, but let's see who's on YouTube right now. So we got Advis in the building. Has a Feza. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that song. My brother Brent, thank you for joining in too, Brent. I hope all is well with the fam. And yeah, that appreciate y'all. That was Mount Calling. And after telling that story and performing the song, I want to kind of just give you my takeaways of that experience that I had. And so, talking about healing, talking about healing and the experience that I had on the Mauna. So what I experienced was healing in the form of healing the separation from the island roots that I was from, and healing in the sense of healing generational wounds of ancestors whose land was taken from them, and healing in the sense of being part of a relationship between the people and their land. And at first, I showed up on Mauna Kea because it was the right thing to do. But in time, I realized the mountain wasn't just calling me to stand. It was calling me to heal. And so for those of y'all tuning in, I invite you to think of a place or a memory that brings you back to yourself, and what's been calling you to come home to your own healing. Is there a space that you go to that brings that healing to you in times of despair and in times of feeling lost? Drop a comment in the chat if you know of a place for yourself that brings that to you. Thank you, Hezafeza. Appreciate it. Beautiful rendition. The one and only, man. I appreciate you, brother, for tuning in. Awesome. We see some folks, some Hez's fam here coming in from El Salvador and Germany. It's happening too. Enjoying this acoustic version of the Mountainous song. I appreciate y'all tuning in. But yeah, please drop in the comments, a place that you find for yourself that brings you a sense of peace and healing. and reconnection. So yeah, that was song and story number one. My brother Brent says, let's see, Guala Rye, snagging the fresh pandasol off the line, man. That's some Saipan stuff, bro. That's great. That's great. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Bring you back to the roots. Oh man. Okay. Well, as you guys are tuning in and typing in your responses, let's see what's next for us. Okay. So the next part of this keynote concert is story number two. Now, y'all remember in the first story where right before I boarded the plane, I met this beautiful wahine, this beautiful woman in line. Y'all remember that part of the story? Well, this is where the second story starts. So here we go. Taking us back to that very place of when I was standing in line, boarding the plane from Seattle to Hawaii. Look behind me, and I see this beautiful person. And I'm like, hey, I got to talk to her. My name is Sabyu. What's your name? Neni, she says. And it's like, hey, well, it's good to meet you. I'm actually boarding the plane here to visit Mauna Kea and stand in support and solidarity with the island fam, the Ohana up on Mauna Kea. And she said, "Oh, I'm going to Hawaii to visit family myself. I have family there. I'm a native Hawaiian myself, so I'm going to see family and friends." And it's like fantastic. And so before we left the plane, exchanged some contact information, and decided, you know what, in our time back in Hawaii, let's hang out. So we hung out a few times and it was great, good connection. It felt like we were just hitting it off. And so one of the nights I was up by myself and I wanted to write a song. Just felt like in the songwriting kind of mood. So took my guitar down to Kahala Beach on Oahu. If y'all know Oahu, Kahala Beach, it's a great beach. If you know, you know. And so it was evening time, and sunset was upon us. And so I texted Nenny, and I was like, "Hey Nenny, I'm trying to write a song. Like, do you have any ideas that I could run with?" And she responded, and she said, "How about sea turtles and a sunset?" I was like, "Let's see what I could do." So sat down with my guitar right along the beach. I had a beautiful view of this full moon that's coming up, waves crashing on the shore, very peaceful night, and nobody really around. So I just started playing, and all of a sudden, these chords started forming, and this melody came to my head as I'm strumming, and then the lyrics started forming with the melody, and I was like, "Whoa, what is happening?" And it felt like a song was writing itself, and it was striking super fast. I was just like, I didn't even have time to write anything down. So within the matter of about 30 minutes, I was just playing a full-fledged song, like, structured and chord changes and melody changes and verse, chorus, all of this, everything was there. And I quickly just took out my phone and I was like, okay, voice memo. I gotta capture this. I gotta capture this. So I capture it. And I play a full-on song and I send it to Nenny. And she's like, "You did not. No, there's no way you just did this. You are crazy for doing this." She loved it. And that's when the song Sunsets and Sea Turtles was created. Now, if we fast forward a few months later, after coming back to Washington, and me and Nenny had, gone our separate ways at that point. I was just checking my emails one morning and I got an email from this casting company out in Los Angeles. And I was like, okay, what is this? It said, "Hey, Sabyu, my name is so and so from this casting agency out in Los Angeles. We're seeking to find people that want to audition for a new show called American Song Contest. It's put on by NBC." I was like, this sounds like spam. This looks like spam to me. So I'm not even gonna respond. I'm not gonna even bother. So I let it go. And a few days later, bing, I get another email. It says, "Hey, Sabyu, just wanted to double check. Hey, like we're still looking for folks to audition for this show, American Song Contest by NBC. If you're interested, please hit us back and we'll schedule a time for a Zoom call." And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me at least let me at least talk to somebody here. So we scheduled the call. And as I'm getting on this call, I realized that this is a real thing. Like this is a real company. I looked them up and turns out they're a legit company. And the person on the other side of the call was very, very real and authentic. Um, and and they explained to me, okay, so American Song Contest is the American version of Eurovision. And if you are not familiar with Eurovision, Eurovision is an annual song contest take place in Europe every year where all of these different European countries will have a representative artist that creates an original song that they perform in competition with a different representative from all of the other different countries. And so, Germany has a representative artist, Italy, France, Spain, they all have their own artist and song to compete for number one of all of Europe. And so NBC had bought the rights to this show and they wanted to bring it to America for the first time. Therefore, they were looking for an artist to represent each of the 50 states, but also each of the US territories, including the Northern Mariana Islands, which is where I'm from. And so upon understanding all this, I was like, okay, let's just give it a shot, see where this goes. So the audition process began. And I submitted a bunch of videos of my self performance, of my songs, my bio, all that good stuff. And they're like, okay, thank you, thank you. We'll get back to you, depending on all of the other participants. And so, as time went on, I was like, what am I getting myself into right now? I'm not really sure, but we'll just keep going. And one day they reach out to me and say, "Hey, Sabyu, good news. You've been selected to represent the Northern Mariana Islands." And I was like, whoa, okay. And they said, "Well, because you've been selected, we want to arrange a home follow video for you. And we want to fly you out back home to spend time with your family and more importantly, capture a video that showcases your story and where you're from." And I was like, whoa, okay, free trip back home. I'm down. So I happily accept this trip back home, and I get back to Saipan, and I'm like, man, it's so good to reconnect with family and the island and the ocean. And I couldn't help but think, though, through this process, it's like, why me? And I felt like a little bit of doubt was creeping in. I was like, this feels a little too good to be true. Um, what did I do to deserve this? I feel like there's other people back home that sing better than me or can write a better song than me and could perform better than me, maybe have more experience than I do. And the doubt started creeping in. And so, I continued. Um, and then as I'm sitting there one day I was with my family watching the Super Bowl. And of course, you know how the Super Bowl has these crazy commercials that just are there to get your attention and whatnot. Out of nowhere, there's a commercial for American Song Contest. And it goes, blam, blam, introducing NBC's American Song Contest, hosted by Snoop Dogg and Kelly Clarkson. Mind you, none of the contestants had any idea that Snoop Dogg and Kelly Clarkson were hosting this thing until that thing aired. And so I was like, what? And my family's like, oh, look, that's going to be the show you're on. I'm like, that's going to be the show I'm on with Snoop Dogg and Kelly Clarkson hosting it. This is too much, man. This is crazy. I mean, really? So when I saw that, I was excited, but I was also terrified. I was like, this feels like too much almost. I'm just like, dang, why me? You know? But on the island, before I left, we filmed a home follow video. Shouts out to the homie Denton, also from the islands, that incredible videographer. He captured beautiful footage of me being there with friends and fam, and me telling my story of myself. And I couldn't help but still feel like I was an imposter, you know? And upon arriving back, I finish up and I wrap up back home and I go back to Washington. I couldn't help but just feel that way. And I couldn't shake the feeling for some reason. And so NBC actually had some resources for us artists, including a therapist on staff, interestingly enough. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to reach out to this therapist because I feel like I'm kind of lost here as far as like why me? I felt like the imposter syndrome was really setting in. And so I talked to this therapist, and you know, after a little bit of back and forth, he asked me two very important questions. The first question he asked me was, so what would happen if you did the show? And I was like, well, if I did the show, I would perform an original song of mine in front of millions of people. I'd represent the island that I'm from. It'd be a good experience overall. I think it'd be like an experience that I could take away from, learn from. And then he asked me the second question. And the second question was, what would happen if you did not do the show? And I was like, if I didn't do the show, nobody would be there to represent the Northern Mariana Islands. And I wouldn't have any experience to come away with in that sense. So that helped me make my choice to continue. And as I began to self reflect, I was like, you know what? I, feeling like an imposter, need to remember my why. Why am I doing this? And really, the why was to represent where I'm from, to share my authentic artistry, to share myself, Sabyu, as an artist, and to grow from experience. And I realized that instead of trying to become an identity or persona that I think the people back home would want to see, I simply just needed to be me because I am the islands that I'm from. I am the culture that I am. And so all I simply needed to do was share my authentic voice. I just needed to be me as an artist. And that's when they flew me to LA. When I arrived in LA, I got the whole red carpet experience. I The flight was paid for. They chartered me from the airport to the hotel. I met a bunch of the other artists that were on the show. I met Alan Stone representing Washington. I met Judd Hughes, the brothers from South Dakota. And I met just some really, really cool people that were helping run the show too. And we had press. We had people that were like, "Hey, Sabyu, what are your thoughts on representing Northern Mariana Islands?" And we had hair and makeup department, which I'd never experienced before. We had wardrobe where we'd, try on different fits and we're like, "Yo, am I looking good?" You know what I'm saying? And then we had rehearsals, like dress rehearsals, and eventually we had the day of the show. And the day of the show, I had family come up to support me in the booth, the Northern Marianas booth. And the episode starts, and the crowd's cheering. It's crazy. I'm realizing that there's some big names in this show. Of course, Snoop and Kelly that were hosting, but Michael Bolton was representing Connecticut. Macy Gray was representing Ohio. Jewel was representing Alaska. Cisco. It was like, this is big time, man. And when my episode aired, there's a moment where I gift Snoop Dogg and Kelly Clarkson a sinahi, which is a traditional necklace from back home. And it was a beautiful moment of just sharing culture and sharing part of me to Snoop and Kelly, but also to the world that was watching. And I remember once that segment ended, the cameras cut off for a commercial break. And then some of the staff came in like, hey, Sabyu, we want to get you backstage because your performance is coming up soon. And so they ushered me backstage, and they have little flashlights showing me the path of the walkway, and they get me backstage. They help me strap my guitar on, plug me in. I got my inner monitors going, making sure that my shirt's all, nice and not wrinkled. And then they come back on air, and I'm standing side stage, and I see they start playing the home follow video that I filmed in Saipan. And mind you, I had not seen this video. It's the first time I'm seeing it. And it's the first time that everybody that's watching is seeing it as well. And so I'm seeing myself talk about who I am, talking about the islands that I'm from. I'm seeing family and friends being featured in this beautiful montage of my home follow video. I see my dad talking to me. I see my cousins in this video, and I see the beauty of the islands that I've come from. And that was so heartwarming, and just like, it was also making me super emotional. I was like, man, I was not ready to feel this right now. And as the home follow video ends, I hear in my inner monitor, like, okay, Sabyu, you get ready to hit your mark, meaning get ready to walk up to the little X on the stage for where you're going to start your performance. All right, Sabyu, in 10, 9, 8. It's like, okay, get ready to walk. 7, 6, 5. Crowd is roaring, lights shining on the stage. All right, Sabyu, walk. In 3, 2, 1. Nanny, what you doing here by the east side? I said, Nanny, we could take a walk by the seaside where the water gets knee high. I don't know what to do besides sing a little song about this and that to you. But I know one thing is true. Sunsets and sea turtles came here together for you. Came here together for you. Sunsets and sea turtles came here together for you. Came here together for you. Well, guess what now? I said the moon is out tonight. It's full and it's so bright. It's like a push and pull, ebb and flow. It's the yin and yang coming centerfold now. Moon, its eyes in the wind, while the sand is glowing. I don't know what to do besides sing a little song about this and that to you. But I know one thing is true. Sunsets and sea turtles came here together for you. Came here together for you. Sunsets and sea turtles came here together for you. Came here together for you. I said, Nanny, what you doing here by the east side? I said, Nanny, we could take a walk by the seaside where the water gets knee high. Thank you. So, as I think about that experience, some of the takeaways, right? Imposter syndrome. It's wild, man. Imposter syndrome can really make us question ourselves and doubt ourselves. And it set in big time for me during that show. And what got me through that imposter syndrome was realizing that I'm being called upon to rise into a role that are bigger than me. It's not about me, it's about something bigger. And it's an opportunity for me to contribute myself to the world around me, to others, and to use my gift to inspire and to share and to uplift, and an opportunity for me to step into my real authentic self. So despite all of the eyes on me and despite all the expectations of what I thought people had of me, I was really meant to just lean into as real and authentic of an expression of myself as I could. And imposter syndrome doesn't mean we're not ready. It often means that we're standing at the edge of something real. And we don't need to find our voice by force. We can find it by listening to the inner voice that speaks once our minds have been quieted. And that's what I experienced. So I appreciate y'all for listening to the story and the song. And I also want to ask you, was there a time when you felt like you felt that imposter syndrome and you showed up anyway? And what helped you keep going? And that said, for those of you that have sticked around from the first song and story to this one, I really appreciate y'all. Kind of shedding light on the bigger picture here, right? The first song and story, Mount of Calling, was about healing through a collective purpose, and healing through going to a place outside of myself, such as Mauna Kea, a sacred place that allowed me to find healing and connection through collective purpose. Sunsets and Sea Turtles, and that experience was healing as well, but it was healing through self-acceptance and a quieter power that comes from within. And so together, those two stories, it kind of shows an arc of reclaiming self. And first by connecting to something outward and something bigger than me, and then inward to something that I hold close and true. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I would love to, I'm going to read some of these comments. That's the end of the stories and the songs. I want to open it up for any questions you guys have or comments. Please flood the chats, and I'll read them until we have all the questions answered. So thank you for being here. It's been fun. I hope you guys had a good time. So let's see what the folks on YouTube saying, let's see here. So let's see. Heza Feza talks about ravines with high tree canopies and the light water streams to remind me I'm part of the whole. Yes, that was from the first question I had about, was there a place that you go to reconnect and heal? I love that. Advis says, loving the story so far. Man, I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate that. It's a new format, so I'm excited to be exploring this. Greg Field says, nice. Thank you, Greg, for tuning in. I appreciate you. The Chi Hoove coming from Advis. He also says, staying focused on my whys and the missions in life. And what moved you to do this live stream? If you're asking that as a question, Advis, what moved me to do this live stream is I'm wanting to explore a new avenue of music, because I think we're really focused as musicians on the avenue of like the traditional, we gotta play shows and we gotta like get gigs, which is cool, but it's also an old model that for whatever reason people don't really monetarily value playing gigs as much as they should. And so for me, this avenue kind of taps into a different arena of sharing my music and sharing my story, while also being able to find a whole new lane of being able to make money through music. So to me, I'm just kind of saying an experiment of sorts. So we'll see what happens. I appreciate that question though. Let's see what the folks on IG be saying here. Oh, we got Mike to White joining in. I appreciate it, Mike. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, much love from seeing Amai right here. Rooting for me. I appreciate it, brother. Erica E. Bells says, I watched you at a restaurant I was at and I told people you're my homie. I appreciate that, Erica. That means a lot. That means a lot. It's cool that you watched at a restaurant. That's wild. And Mike says the backdrop video for this on the show was magical. It truly was. The if you've seen the show, there was like these crazy sea turtles and like a huge moon, and it was pretty magical. It's quite magical. Brit Bangs with the woo and all the emojis. I appreciate that, Brit, for tuning in. Thank you, thank you. I like those emojis too. Gary Wennett says beautiful. Thank you, Gary. Mike says a tree bears its fruit for others, not for itself. You got this. Dang, that's a good one, Mike. A tree bears fruit for others, not for itself. That's some island wisdom right there, Mike. Dang. That's why mangoes taste so good. You know what I'm saying? Heza says there is a full rainbow shining outside right now. Beautiful. Is there really? Dang. I love that. I love that. And Linford says, thanks, brother, for opening yourself to us. Hey, you know what? I appreciate that. And I do feel like, vulnerability is strength. It's the way to get stronger. And so, to be able to share these kind of moments of uncertainty and questioning of self, and what I have learned from it is powerful to be able to share with others, So I appreciate that. Mike says connections. And then we got our Facebook peoples over here. This is great. Let's see. Heza says, how do you recognize and move through imposter syndrome these days? Shoot, how do I recognize and move through imposter syndrome these days? I would say the big question that I ask myself, or not even a question, but a statement, is remember your why. And I remember a dear friend of mine telling me that as I was going through the process of the show, which is interesting. So to remember my why of like why I'm doing something. So if I ever doubt myself and I'm like, okay, I'm not good enough to play this next gig because there's too many people there. It's like, okay, well, remember my why. Why am I even doing this? And really, really figure out for yourself, like, what is your true motive? And sometimes there's layers to it, like I remember as a high schooler, I'm like, why am I making music? So I could be famous. It's like, okay, so sure, be famous, but like, why do you want to be famous? You can really just ask why as you get to source. So that's the way I look at it. Just remember your why. But yeah, appreciate y'all tuning in. That's been about an hour. So, thank you guys. I really appreciate y'all that have jumped in, even if it's just for a little bit. Like I said, this is a new format that I'm trying. I literally have like freaking 2 laptops and an iPhone up here. I got to figure out how to streamline this better, but hey, I think it worked. So, thank you so much. You know how to reach me if you want to talk more about it. And thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Instagram. Thank you, YouTube. Bam, bam, bam. Camera 1, 2, 3. What do I have to say to the people? I would like to say gratitude for tuning in. This is the beginning of more of this kind of format to come. I'm very excited to be doing this. And yeah, one last thought. Go Mariners, man. The game's coming up. So, hey, I'm about to tune in at 5 PST. So, much love to the fam in Seattle. And I'm glad that I was able to share my stories with you guys today. So, much love. This is your boy Sabyu signing off. And catch you on the next wave. Advis, I love this format. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Love to y'all. Yes, yes. All right, here we go. I'm gonna shut it all down. Appreciate y'all. Till next time. Peace.